Hey everyone, Joe Soto here, and I want to share my 10 quick ways to build rapport with any client. My belief is if you learn how to practice even a few of these 10, you'll have more rapport building skill than you had before you had a chance to watch this video. Now, a couple of them are deceptively simple. Keep that in mind. I'm aware of that. But these are the 10 that I came up with. So, number one is to take away the time constraint. Let them know your timetable and that you're just there to learn more about them. What that does is that helps disarm them. So what I'll do is I'll say, listen, we have currently 30 minutes set aside for this meeting, and I'd like to use the majority of this time getting to know a little bit more about your business, and then we can kind of determine whether or not there might be a potentially good fit between us so we don't waste each other's time. It's one of the quickest ways that I can build rapport with people because it helps them take their walls down a little bit and understand that I am there to learn about them. Number two, remove the fear of the pitch. So I may say and add something such as, and I'm not here to present a bunch of solutions or try to throw a bunch of anecdotes at you today or even present to you how we might be able to help you because I don't know enough about you yet. What that does, that also takes down their walls, helps build a little rapport, and puts you on the level of, I'm just here to have a conversation to see if we should be dating, let alone be married. And sometimes I use that analogy when I'm talking with them. Number three is to smile. You notice that even while I'm presenting and talking to you about these 10 ways to build instant rapport with your clients, I'm smiling along the way. So sometimes just having an opportunity to smile with them. And that doesn't mean you have to come up with a joke or say something funny. Just smile, agree, and you'll be surprised how far a smile can go in building rapport. Again, deceptively simple but powerful. Number four, get them to laugh. If you can get a client to laugh at something, at anything, okay, it will help strengthen the rapport in the relationship. Now, if you're not naturally funny or you don't find an opportunity to say something that could be funny on both accounts to both of you, then just don't do it. Skip this one. But if you can get them to laugh, that strengthens rapport. Think about the last time you got somebody to laugh when you were in a conversation with them. What does it do? It brings you a little closer together, and it will with your clients as well. Number five, genuinely compliment them. If you can compliment them on something they've said, something they've referred to, something you've seen in the news about them, maybe you did some preliminary research, you saw they won an award for one of the best places to work in Austin, Texas, and they're in Austin, and you can compliment them on that, people love sincere compliments. Now, the caveat is if you can't make a sincere, genuine compliment, don't make a fake one. So if you can, genuinely compliment them. Next, I think we're at 6 now, ask questions. I teach in my courses the power of asking questions inside of a discovery meeting. I give very specific questions to ask. And the reason why I suggest that you ask questions is because it puts you on the listening side of the equation, puts them on the talking side, where when you're communicating with your client or your prospect, they're doing most of the talking because you're asking the majority of the questions. Even if the client asks you a question, don't take that as a liberty to go on and start talking. Turn it into another question if you can for them. So that way you're spending 20% of the time talking and 80% of the time listening. Asking questions is the single most powerful tool for building rapport that I know of. But you've got to ask good, open-ended questions that gets them thinking and gets them talking. Next one, number 7 is to listen, and the most powerful way you can listen, and obviously listening as a rapport builder, is to take notes. And I mean physical notes. And I learned this the hard way. I remember going in when I was first engaging in sales and client sales in my marketing agency, and I remember taking in my iPad, and I would start taking notes, and rapport would break. I can see them getting a little more distant from me. I could see them getting a little bit more resistant to me. And I realized I put this barrier between us, which is a laptop or an iPad. I'm going to encourage you not to take notes with a client on an iPad or on a MacBook or a laptop, because it puts a physical barrier between the two of you, but also because it takes your attention off of them and onto your device in a way that makes it seem like, in their mind at least, you could be answering email or surfing the web or just not really caring or paying attention to what they said, even though it's entirely not what you're doing. I remember I caught myself saying a few times, I'm taking notes right now actually, and I'm really listening, I promise. And if you have to say that, your chances are you're not doing a very good job of listening. And you're also saying that because you can unconsciously read the distance you've created in a lack of rapport. So if you want to build rapport, take notes, but on a piece of paper with a pen. Because first of all, it forces you to listen more carefully so you can write it down. And you can't write usually as fast as you type. So it really forces you to hear what they said and then write it down. And you could paraphrase it and say, just to get this straight, this is how I spell it, this is what I write down. And also, it's a demonstration that you care. It takes on a whole different animal when you take notes in front of your client. And I love showing clients that I care enough to write down what it is they're talking about and what they're saying. Number 8, mirror their physiology. Now, I know you can go back and read, books on NLP or Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins and read about mirroring. And I'm not talking about, mimicking or copying someone's gestures, but physically mirroring at least their posture and how they might be sitting in relation to you. If they're leaned back and have their arms crossed like this, it'll be going too far for you to lean back with your arms crossed. But you might want to lean back and maybe cross your hands. So it's subtle physical mirroring. And there's something about mirroring someone's physiology that does put you in an unconscious alignment, subconscious, unconscious, whatever you want to call it, alignment with the other individual when you're talking with them. There's nothing worse than being physically mismatched. Like you're up here, you're forward with your hands crossed, and the person's sitting back with their hands, maybe arms uncrossed and leaning back, looking at you like you're crazy. You don't want to be mismatched physically because you'll have more distance and a lack of rapport. Go out the next time you're out to dinner and watch a young couple in love, or even an older couple that look like they've been together for a long time, who you can tell they still got the fire burning. And if you watch them from afar, chances are they're sitting a lot alike, and they're mirroring each other on a very unconscious level. It's not in their conscious awareness that they're even sitting alike, maybe even eating alike, maybe even having their cups on the same side of the table, etc. Physically, it comes natural to you when you're already in alignment or in rapport with people. So doing it on purpose is doing it on purpose. Then number 9 is mirroring their language patterns. And to keep this very simple without getting into a more in-depth explanation of it, what I mean by mirroring language patterns is, yes, some verbal predicates and cues, such as, are they using visual language, like I see what you mean, that looks good, and the way I see it, and picture this? Are they using auditory predicates and phraseology, such as, that sounds good, listen, Joe, or the way I hear it is like this? And are they using, so that's auditory? Are they using kinesthetic verbiage, such as, that weighs heavy, or what this all boils down to, or if I could just get my hands and arms wrapped around this, or I feel a lot of pressure with this? Are they using kinesthetic language, which is touchy-feely language? Yes, being able to mirror those type of language patterns back to somebody is powerful, but also the language patterns of how fast and rapid someone speaks. If someone talks a lot slower than you, you might need to slow it down to kind of match them. You can also match the tempo and rhythm of how they speak. Different people have a different tempo and rhythm. Other people have different volume, loud versus soft. Other people might pause at different parts of their sentences. Some people pause at the very beginning of their sentences. Some people pause at the very end of their sentences. Some people pause in the middle of their sentences. So you can listen for all these different language patterns and mirror it back to them. Lastly, one of my favorite ways of getting someone to be in rapport with you, to like you, is to not to get them to do for you to do a favor for them, but for you to get them to do a favor for you. Now, it sounds kind of crazy because I've heard this before where people say, if you can get someone to do a favor, if you can do a favor for somebody, they feel like they have to reciprocate. You heard that before? That's true, but it's even more powerful if you can get somebody else to do you a small favor. And the way that I get people to do a small favor for me is to potentially refer somebody that they think I should also be talking to. So for instance, let's say I'm doing a presentation, or I just met the person, and we're just kind of going through everything. I'm getting to know them, and before I've even really gotten into my pitch or my presentation, before they've even seen my solutions, I might ask them. I might say, Jim, would you mind doing me a small favor? And then they say, what's that? I'll say, well, based on what you do know about what we offer and how this interaction has gone already, who else should I be talking to? That's one of my favorite ways to ask for referrals, by the way. Who else should I be talking to? But I've set it up by asking them for a small favor. Now, I also might make it more subtle, and there's another way to use this where I might say, Jim, would you mind doing me a small favor? Do you have a pen? I have my notepad with me, and I thought I had a pen. I forgot to grab my pen on the way in the door here. I'm usually more prepared. And I get them to do a small favor, and they loan me or they lend me a pen. And there's just something that is powerful in the act of somebody else doing a small favor for you, and then they've already done an act of kindness and a favor to you, which puts you more on their side, a little bit more in rapport, and also kind of makes you human. So there you have it, my 10 ways to build instant rapport with clients. We did it in almost 10 minutes. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. And if you want to learn more in depth about this and you are a consultant or an agency owner, I deep dive into this stuff more richly in my Marketing Agency Academy, especially online course, which you can find the link somewhere probably below this video. All right, be well. I look forward to hearing your feedback.